the Italian Football Podcast.
Let's talk about Riccardo Calafiori, who was one of the few positives from this disastrous Euro 2024 for Italy. This week, the next days actually, are going to be very, very important in deciding the future of Riccardo Calafiori, who it now looks like is about to join Arsenal. They are the red-hot favourites for him. They are in negotiations, not quite advanced, but moving towards that way. They are very close to agreeing personal terms, according to my information, with Calafiori. He's now open to the move. Bologna and Arsenal are in talks over a transfer fee. Bologna are asking for 50 million. I understand that they are quite close to that 50 million asking price. And I've been speaking to Steve Kay, who's a friend of the show, great guy, got brilliant contacts at Arsenal. He says that Jorginho actually recommended Calafiori to Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta really likes him. So it looks like Arsenal are probably going to get him. Juventus are pretty much out of the race now, which is gutting, I know, to a lot of Juventus fans and probably for Italian football in general. But he's just become too expensive. Juventus already had agreed personal terms with Calafiori before the Euros. Calafiori actually wants to join Juventus; that they're his preferred choice. The problem is that
in Italy,
no, his preferred choice. Full stop. He wants to join Juventus, Calafiori. The problem is that his asking price, his value has skyrocketed because of the Euros. Juventus had pretty much agreed a valuation with Bologna of around 25, 27 million euros before the Euros started. But then the Euros happened. Calafiori had an incredible group stage, and all the interest came in from abroad, Premier League clubs, Arsenal and Chelsea in particular, but also Real Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen. There's become almost like a bidding war was about to erupt, and his Bologna have put his price tag, rightfully so, up to something that's more of a fair valuation for him, towards 50 million. Juventus cannot afford that 50 million. They can only afford really one more big investment this summer, and that is going to be Koopmeiners. That is more of a priority for Juventus in terms of Giuntolin, in terms of Motta, in terms of what they want for this summer. So Koopmeiners is who they're going to make their big investment in now, between now and the end of the window, and they can't afford Koopmeiners and Calafiori. So it's a big shame for Juventus, as I think he would have been very important for the rebuild. We know their defence is not great, and he's a Motta player, so it's a shame for Juve.
I think I'm not entirely sure Juve are out of it, because if Giuntoli, which we're going to talk about, continues flogging players as good as he's done, they need to be quick, Arsenal, because if they're not, you just think about it. A McKennie later, what's his name? Gatti, Kostic, one of these guys out, and all of a sudden you've got money to buy Calafiori. So Arsenal need to, if they want Calafiori, they need to step up and do it, because otherwise it could be another Bremer situation where you're talking and Juventus just do it. So they need to watch that out. So we'll see what happens there, but yeah, it depends on Giuntoli being able to flog players.
I don't think he has the time. I think the only way Juventus could possibly still be in it is if Calafiori literally puts his foot down and says, "Look, I don't want any club other than Juventus. I will wait for them till the end of the summer." And then if Juventus can afford him, they can afford him if they're prepared to pay that amount of money as well. It looks at the moment, it looks like he's had the project sold to him by Arsenal, and he seems to be happy. He's played abroad already, so it's not a problem for him to go and play abroad again. I just think it's a big blow for Juventus, but it's also within the context of the Italy national team. It's a big blow for Serie A, but a big blow for No, it's not a big blow for Italy if he's a success at
No,
Arsenal.
no.
That doesn't matter.
No,
the
no, no.
problem is
This
that
is this.
we're
This
here
is
complaining about the lack of Italians at big clubs in Serie A. Milan probably going to have.
yeah.
We're going to come to Milan. Milan are probably going to have no Italians in their starting 11 next season.
Mm.
Juventus, as I work it out, I think are going to have 1 to 2 outfield Italians next season. It'll probably be Cambiasso and Locatelli if he can work his way, but his future is not definite. So I think maybe only 1 outfield Italian. Napoli, we're looking at 1 to 2 if Di Lorenzo stays. Buongiorno will come in, Politano will leave. So we're looking at 2 at Napoli. So this is kind of where the financial resources of Serie A harms our teams when there's an Italian who wants to join an Italian top team like Calafiori does, but Juventus can't afford him.
Look, it's I'm a bit conflicted because there is no doubt that this is good for the Italian national team. Calafiori going to test his ability at Arsenal, a team fighting for the Premier League title, who plays in the Champions League, playing modern progressive football under Arteta. That's good for this Italy as long as Spalletti's there, right? There's no doubt about that. As for
providing he's
Serie A,
a success.
Well, even if he isn't, I think it's an important. Well, even if he isn't, I think it's an important experience. But regardless, for the Serie A, losing this is the thing that losing an Italian gem, like a Tonali, like a Donnarumma, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all, and that's not good for Serie A at all.
No.
Like star power, an Italian jewel, as they say, gioiello, that he goes and leaves the league. That's not good. And I'm kind of, and the reason for that is, a lot of people are saying, why aren't Milan going after him? Well, Milan, as one of our patrons said to me yesterday, who's a Milan fan, is like, we could find someone like Calafiori for 15 million in France. So why should we pay 50? And that's how Milan looks at it. That's how the clubs look at it in Italy.
And Calafiori's
like you
Italian
said, they're priced out. Yeah, well,
he's
exactly.
Italian.
But it is what it is.
Milan don't buy Italians.
Yeah, I know he's
anymore,
Italian, but it doesn't matter. No, I'm saying no, that's not true. But what I'm saying is, it's not like the clubs look at it like that because they have a very limited budget, and that's a shame. That again,
finances absolutely come into it. Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, so that's what's such a shame about this. But it is what it is. I still think that, I don't think Juventus are out of it until he actually signs. So Arsenal need to beware, or else they'll get Locatelli'd again. Which,
and Vlahovic.
If you remember, when Locatelli's...
And
Vlahovic and Locatelli'd, which has happened to them before. So they need to watch out.
But let's have a look at, for the Arsenal fans that are listening, let's have a look at what they can expect from Calafiori. We'll talk about his background, and I think Nima's going to start with that, and then we'll talk about more his ability as a player and how he could fit in at Arsenal. So Nima, if you want to talk a little bit about who Calafiori is, where he comes from.
Yeah. He's born on 19th of May 2002 in Rome. He started his career when he was 6 years old in Petriana, which is a club or an area close to the Vatican, which isn't exactly known for having created many footballers that join Roma. One of his earlier, the director of that football school said that from an early age you could see that he has a hunger that is far more superior to all the other boys his own age, and he had a talent that was out of this world. He joined Roma at the age of 9 under the watchful eyes of Bruno Conti. He went to Trigoria, and they all agreed that he had an absolutely insane talent, and they offered him a professional contract under 17 with the under 17 teams at Roma, and Rome journalists at the time said that he was one of the best Italian fullback, in circulation. He had Mino Raiola as his agent, and it all looked like it was progressing well. He was part of the Champions League squad that beat Barcelona, reaching the semi-final. And of course, in October 2018, the infamous injury in the Primavera, the Youth League, the Champions League Youth League, where against the Czech team, he got Václav Svoboda is the name of the player in the 82nd minute in that game. He received a horrible tackle, which the Rome Primavera doctor quickly was there to put his knee back together, and they said that the reports at the time said that if you had waited for him to wait in the hospital, who knows how that could have happened, because when they arrived at the hospital, they said that it looked like his knee had exploded. In fact, the quote from the doctor was that this was not a football injury. It was the kind of injury you usually see in motocross. It's an incident that can happen once every 10 years even. But this kid has unbelievable mental strength. He said himself about it that this injury and how he reacted to it was the step that made me understand that I could become a footballer at the highest level, especially mentally, because I think of every difficulty that I've gone through, and I always go forward stronger than before. So only 11 months later, he was back on the pitch after that incredibly serious injury. And Monchi was there, and they sent him on loan to Genoa. He didn't really do that well there. He didn't quite enjoy it. And then he was sold in 2022 to Basel for €1.5 million, and 40% is what I found. Some say 50, but I've seen 40% official numbers of future resale. But then, of course, Bologna bought him on the 31st of August for about €4 million, and there it was 50% future resale fee to Basel. And then since then, it's been, the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he really exploded at Bologna under Thiago Motta. Thiago Motta's been so important for his career. He converting him from a left-sided centre back from a left back into a left-sided centre back, and he was one of the best centre backs in the Serie A season of this past season, 2023-24. Left centre back in Thiago Motta's 4-2-3-1 system. And he was a key player, along with Zirkzee, probably the most important player for Bologna, qualifying for the Champions League, which is just an incredible, miraculous achievement for a team that hadn't been in Europe this century, other than the Intertoto Cup. And Bologna had the third best defence in Serie A, and he is a modern centre back. He was a revelation in the role. He all the qualities and attributes that you need of a top modern defender. He has them. He's 22. He presses and reads the game so well. He was ranked third in Serie A this past season for interceptions. He's an aggressive front-footed defender. He only under Sandro Buongiorno from Torino and Giorgio Scalvini from Atalanta averaged more interceptions a game for the past season. His use of the ball is brilliant. He brings the ball out of defence. He joins in the construction of the play in midfield. His ball carrying, progressive ball carrying, he was in the 92nd percentile compared to centre backs in Serie A when it comes to successful take-ons. He was in the 85th percentile for progressive carries. And of course, we saw that at Euro 2024, that brilliant assist for Matej Zaccagni against Croatia, the 98th minute, where he picked up the ball from basically just outside his own penalty area. It was rolled out to him by Donnarumma. He then bombed up the pitch, drove up the pitch, played a 1-2 just inside the Croatia half with Davide Fratesi, made another charge straight direct at goal, committed a man, laid it off for the assist for Zaccagni to curl it in. So that kind of sums him up. His pass success rate was above 90% last season, and that's despite a very high volume of passes, and also passes that are not simple passes. We're not talking about sideways passes. We're talking about very progressive passes and difficult passes and ambitious passes. He had 5 assists in Serie A last season, which is the most for a centre back in Serie A. He also had 2 for the Italy under-21s. Of course, he got that assist for Italy at the Euros as well, and that's an incredible number of assists for a defender. He also had 2 goals. He can defend as well. He averaged 1.6 tackles a game. That's 10th among centre backs in Serie A last season. He's very good in the air. He's averaging two aerials, 1 per game, which is a good number. But what I really like about him also is that he has the class, but he has the personality. He's fearless. He wants the ball. He takes on responsibility. Doesn't shy away. So I mean, he really does have everything really in terms of attributes. In terms of Arsenal, where he fits in Arsenal, there's been a few different suggestions, like will he play as a left back or will he play as a left centre back? I think, looking at what Arsenal need as a team and where their weakness was, Arsenal need a left back, and we know that Mikel Arteta likes his left back to be inverted, somebody that can make a 3, but more importantly can come into centre midfield when in the build-up and when in possession. And we've seen that Calafiori is so good at that. So I think that maybe Arteta sees him as that, but then maybe he sees him as a left centre-back. I mean, Gabriel and Saliba had a great partnership last season. So, yeah, maybe Arsenal should stick with those 2, but Calafiori will give something extra in terms of in possession and with the use of the ball. And we've seen that Arteta isn't shy to, if he thinks he can upgrade someone that's already doing well, like he did with Ramsdale in goal when he had a very good season, yet he changed him and brought in Raya. Maybe he sees him as a left centre-back. So I don't know. We'll have to see what Arteta does there, but he certainly gives Arsenal more options, whether it's at centre-back, whether it's at left-back. It will be an exciting signing for Arsenal. I think that it's, like we said before, it's a big blow for Juventus. If they miss out on him, it's a big blow for Serie A, losing another Italian duel. It's one thing losing foreign players. And I also think it's a big regret for Roma. I mean, how the hell can they let this guy go for just 2 million?
Monchi.
Was it Monchi? Was it Monchi that let him go, or was he already gone? Yes. It was Monchi.
No, it was Monchi, from what I understand.
I think Monchi left him. It might have been Monchi that let him go originally on loan. I'm not sure if he's the one that actually sold him. I think he was gone by then. But anyway, whoever let him go, I mean, it's how can you not see what this guy's potential was, to lose him for 2 million and now he's going for 50 million? That's a big regret. It's a big regret. But for Calafiori, it, as Nima said earlier, it can be moving up a level, playing in the best league, most competitive league in the world. It can be good. Whether or not he would have been better at Juventus, where he's playing in a guaranteed centre-back position, where he's guaranteed to start and be a leader for the team, rather than playing maybe at left-back in a position which he's just converted from. That's the big question mark for me on whether it's a good move for Calafiori or not. But it's for Arsenal, I think it's a very, very exciting signing.
And I think that this essentially means that Kiwior will leave Arsenal, which I think is, in a couple of weeks, we could see links to Juventus. If they sign Calafiori, I wouldn't be surprised if Kiwior is being linked to Juve, if I'm perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but It's a great signing for Arsenal, no doubt about it. But as for